2019 was a very significant year for Nissan Motor Corporation. It had two different anniversaries, the 85th anniversary of the entire company and the 50th anniversary of the Nissan Fairlady Z. And what better way to celebrate that 50th anniversary of the Nissan Fairlady Z than by revealing a new prototype the following year. Then releasing a production model of that car. Who knows? Maybe next year, maybe the year after. I don't know. It's not happening now. That's all I can say. For the last 11 years, we've had the 370Z. Now, when it came out, it was a marked improvement on the 350Z. The styling was a little bit better. The performance was better. It was just all around better. But it shared a lot of similarities from the 350Z to the 370Z, and it looked more or less just like a body refresh, even though there were performance upgrades. Okay, so that was 2002, so 18 years we have had a car that is, appearance-wise, very similar. Word on the street is the upcoming model is the 400ZX, which many of us were excited for because it would mean a departure from the 11-year-old design of the 370Z. But yesterday, on September 15th, 2020, the year that will forever be known as the year of all of the greatest things, Nissan decided to reveal the prototype for the 7th generation Fairlady Z. So for the event, Nissan created a nice Fairlady Z lineage where you can see all of the generations of your car, and you can find the link down in the description. The glaring thing here is why they would choose a sickly yellow color. It's not an electric yellow or an electric blue or something flashy and like high-tech seeming. It's like this weird murky urine color. Well, and it's two-tone. So moving past the color, the whole car feels like a toy. That's what it's giving me impressions of. Like a Fisher-Price toy. I'm not even sure if this is an... well, yeah, okay, so the more I look at it, the more I like it, but it is still an ugly car. I see what they're going for, and from the side, if you look at the side, it has some decent lines, and honestly, if they chose different paint colors, it might be better. So the whole car still looks like someone had the brilliant idea of just overlapping features of the 240Z over top of the 370Z. And what you end up with is what effectively looks like the 370Z in a body kit, so that it resembles the original car. Now, the best analogy I can think of is if you have a large person doing cosplay of a very small and dainty character. This is what you end up with. Granted, in some ways, without question, think it looks better. Like that little tiny section of the rear quarter panel. There are cars that did throwback well, and there are cars that did the throwback extremely poorly. Look at the Ford Thunderbird. Compare that to how it used to look, and it does not look very good. At the time, it was kind of nice because there weren't a lot of cars like that, but very quickly it aged and looked terrible. So then you compare the Ford Thunderbird to something like when they did a nice job of creating a modern classic, and that would be the 2005 to 2014 Ford Mustang. They did a good job with that. Dodge with the Challenger didn't do as well, and that's maybe more where this fits, depending on how much you like or dislike this. Because the Challenger just looks like a fat version of the old car. It doesn't look like a new vehicle that's very reminiscent of the old one, but new. I appreciate that we've moved on from the days of just completely edge-free vehicles. What we've moved to is a vehicle that has flat surfaces, again, which is nice. However, it's all flush surfaces, or nearly flush. These minor contours are just kind of like they remind me of knockoff watches and things, where you might have a skeleton watch, where at first, at like a tiny glance, you look at it and be like, wow, that looks really good, it's a skeleton watch, and then you look closer and it's just a bunch of gears painted onto the face of the watch, and you're like, that's stupid. Contour is what creates an attractive aesthetic. When it's just flat on flat on flat, it's not really as striking. It's very much a prototype that looks better in a picture than it does in motion. In a picture, it looks okay, but because you don't have those edges, it doesn't look good from other angles. As you can see in the video, it had some problems. Like in the front end, from the side it looks fine. From the front, like the bumper right on the side there, that little dimpled cheek thing, it lacks, as I said, contour. It's toned down, so it just looks. That's it. Jeremy Clarkson driving around in a convertible where he's too tall for the windscreen, so his face is just pulled back. That's what that's reminding me of. The grill aside, the grill looks okay, even though it's very square. It's traditional. I can fine. But so if you exaggerate that dimple and maybe add a little bit of contour to it, maybe it'll look good. Or if you turn it the other way and make a curve to more match the original, or if they take a page from the GTR, that corner section that juts out, if they emulate that onto this Fairlady Z, it would look a lot better. Problem is they've got, it's very nearly good, but when it's very nearly good, it's still very obviously not. Now, I'll show you this in a different color, and I think you'll find that it is better looking, but this has the same problem as the Supra. In photos that are high contrast that accentuate those curves, it looks okay in there, but then when you take it out, you see it in person, you're like, wow, this is kind of weird looking, and you're like, this is kind of deformed. Like, this does not look like a sleek car, a sexy car. It's like you got hit in the face with a shovel kind of car, or it looks like your face got stung by a bunch of wasps sort of car. This might be better, but it's just so muted in a lot of aspects. The parts that aren't, I can appreciate. The parts that are, I do not appreciate at all. So the headlights and taillights, I would say, those could use significant improvement. I'll give the taillights a bit more leeway than the headlights. The double split is okay. Are they spaced enough? I don't think so. They don't stand out enough. They're flush. Okay, if you exaggerated the contours, this would look way better. If you recess that back taillight section, it will look excellent. If you take out that dimple in the front, not to make it flat, because when they did that in the 370Z, that also looked worse. The biggest issue, though, are things like these flat headlights that are slightly recessed, but not too flat. From the front, it looks a lot more like, I guess it's got the same problem as the Supra. The headlights look dumb. It reminds me more of like a BMW Z4 headlight. If they're going to put contours on the rest of the car, they need the headlights to be more contoured. Like something, like, look at the Mazda headlights. Even for the MX-5, it's more soft edges. It's still better than these headlights. And yeah, that whole front section where it goes from the headlights down to the bumper, it doesn't transition nicely. But seriously, if you fix that bumper, the car will look a lot better. And if you fix those headlights and the tail lights as well, you've gone from a car that might sell as well as the 370. If you fix this, you might actually go back to having a car that people actually want to buy and sells so well you can actually compete with people rather than slowly dying out because your company makes terrible cars that are falling apart all the time and feel like rocks when you're sitting in them. Those are my only major complaints about this. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know. Otherwise, we're just going to go back to building things. Sorry, I just had to comment on that, because that is not okay.